Well, NWA Shockwave has some interesting matches that took place with title exchanges. Also, some interesting developments that took place in AEW Dark. But also, Impact Wrestling did not have any matches. But however, they throw in some little bit of recaps that took place for 2020. So, we're all going to talk about that on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted WrestleZone, all things that is pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, matches, wrestlers, championships. So let's talk about NWA Shockwave. Now, keep in mind, folks, many of these shows were already been broadcast by the United Wrestling Network, but they broadcast some of the matches that may have been sanctioned by the NWA. Now, it's very common for this to happen. So, let's talk about the first match of the day. This one was for the NWA Television Championship. This one was between the Pope versus the champion Zicky Dice. Now, this match was set up due to what happened the last time. Zicky Dice felt that what the Pope did, winning his match last week, he spit at him, disrespected him, and all this. Now, Zicky Dice, the way he was portraying himself, he did not want to challenge the Pope, believing he doesn't need the challenge, so he felt like he needs to hold it. But it was set up by Billy Corgan to have Zicky Dice put the title on line against the Pope. But before the match even started, Zicky Dice decided that he was going to beat him up. Instead, he did not want to face him. So he wanted to walk out knowing, I don't need to put the title on the fence. And he made some remarks to Billy Corgan, how he's an idiot, an arrogant fool, all of this, that what happens to the Pope is going to be his fault. But however, the Pope wasn't just going to let Zicky Dice run his mouth to tell him he's out. But Zicky Dice, okay, I already beat you more, I'll just beat you some more. And it's all Billy Corgan's fault. But however, he only had 6 minutes in order to do that. Now, when it comes to the television title, if you guys followed, they normally have 6 minutes to face off. So the match was unbelievably good. It told a story how the Pope felt that what Zicky Dice did was disrespectful. He disrespected the traditions of the National Wrestling Alliance. But frankly, he beat him with a few extra seconds to leave out, not to ending the time, making him the new NWA television champion. Now, in case out of the story wise, some of you guys wondering why did he lose the title? Why was it dropped? Well, apparently, if you guys don't know this, Zicky Dice is no longer under contract with the NWA. He's out, and that's always been the scenario because several wrestlers, if you guys been aware, NWA for that time hasn't been doing any shows for that time. But back into the post match of this match, the Pope made some great remarks, great story thanking his family, but of course, he feels about the families and people who currently are unemployed and dealing with this whole coronavirus. I have to say, he was like the champion of champions that we needed to have, even though if he played a heel once in a while. In the next match, we had like sort of a non-title match. This one is from uh, the National Treasure, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis, taking on Jordan Clearwater, who is well known in the independents. He made several appearances on New Japan Strong. It was a pretty good, interesting match, and it wasn't the best, to be honest with you. I mean, it could have been someone much better for Nick Aldis, but I feel like it was more like a warm up or so. But it was a good match, and Nick Aldis won the match, if that's what you're wondering. Now, the next match, this one already made headlines all over the world. This one was for the NWA Women's World Championship. This one was between Serena Deeb, who after 5 years we haven't seen her, she comes back in the ring and she faces Thunder Rosa, who was the champion at the time. Now, if you recall this, before this, even though it was on the United Wrestling Network, you can see on Fight TV, they already had a match between these two in a dark match. I think this is before Thunder Rosa faced Hikaru Shida at AW All Out. It was a pretty good match as well, but this one is a pretty good one. Now, you can say all you want about Thunder Rosa, like that's why she's like meta all this. I'm a big fan of Thunder Rosa, I've always have. But what I like about this match, it's tell the story like, okay, Serena Deeb, we know who she is. You guys may remember her from WWE when she had her head shaved, and she's been gone for quite a while. She came back. She was hired to become a coach at the performance center, but later she lost her job during the cuts at what we call Black Wednesday on April 15th of this year. But it told a great story how, and not to mention the way this match was gone on, it was one of the amazing matches I've ever seen, especially coming for Serena Deeb, even though I'm a fan of Thunder Rosa. But surprise, it was how Serena Deeb actually won this match. Now, you may see it on the prime time on the United Wrestling Network. You could that's like maybe $7.99 to pay. But if you want to see it completely, just watch it on the NWA Shockwave. It's a pretty good match to watch. Now, the next match, this one is for the NWA World Tag Team titles. This one was between Aaron Stevens and, of course, the question mark. But however, we did not have the question mark involved. Now, Aaron Stevens, if you guys follow, before the whole thing with the pandemic, Aaron Stevens was at the time the NWA national champion, but he called it the third degree national champion. He was intending not to lose the title, but hold on to it, but at the same time collect all the belts that he can get, and the tag team titles was amongst them. Now, the match went into a very different direction where we did not know who was going to be his partner. It turned out to be JR Kratos. Now, I mentioned his name before on the New Japan Strong episodes, so it became clear he became Aaron Stevens' tag team partner. But surprise to my knowledge, did not expect it. They actually won the match. Now, however, the reason the Eli Drake and James Storms dropped the match, there were rumors circulating that WWE were interested in signing James Storm. Now, it was true, but however, due to what's been going on with the pandemic, it kind of derailed or put a pause on that signing deal. And then we did see James Storm at Bound for Glory during the Collier Shot match, and then that time he actually teamed up with Chris Sabian to face Triple XL. So basically, we have Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos who are now the new NWA World Tag Team Champions. Now we still haven't know who will face those guys in the near future, but I can only wait to see where they're gonna go with it. So if you guys are interested in to see what happened, now remember, if you're planning to see Shockwave on YouTube, it's good. Not to mention, you can still see the episodes down on the United Wrestling Network on Fight TV. You have to purchase it, and of course, if you do, you have to set up an account with these guys. So I think that's it right now. So let's move on to AEW Dark. Okie dokie. So let's get started with AEW Dark. The first match is a tag team match between Bear Country, who, in my opinion, really made a good impression last week on Dark, facing off right now against the fan favorites Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. It was a really good match. Now, not to mention, keep in mind, the wrestlers normally, half of the wrestlers they use on this particular show are, in fact, mostly wrestlers are not currently signed, but they paid them to be there or whatever the scenario is. But it was a good match, seeing the Bear Country and Jurassic Express facing off. I say I would like to pay attention more to Bear Country. There are very interesting, like heavy hitters type of tag team, kind of like similar to FTR, but much more powerhouse type. you know, instead of tactic or whatever. But as always, to everyone's surprise, Jurassic Express took the victory on this one. Next match is a women's match. We have Tesha Price versus the native beast, Nyla Rose. But you all can guess, yes, Nyla Rose ate her for breakfast. Or no, ate her for dinner. So it ended in that way where Nyla Rose actually won this match. The next match, it's in fact Sunny Kiss facing off against Miro alongside with Kip Sabian. The thing is, I wasn't sure what was the purpose of having Sunny Kiss to be in this match. To be honest with you, like we have seen on previous episodes on Dark, they normally have the top stars or those who are in favor to be looked at to be the top stars down the line. I don't know what was the point of it, but it ended in Miro winning the match. Now, I don't know why they put Sunny Kiss. They could have put anybody, but I don't know. But I'm not going to say it was one of the best matches for Miro or good matches or whatever. I just feel like they could have put someone else, like someone like he would win easily. That's how I would put it up, not Sunny Kiss. Then we had a little segment from the waiting room once again with Britt Baker dissing everybody, and she claims that the Acclaim will beat the Bucks for the titles. Don't hold your breath, Britt. That doesn't happen. They don't know the Bucks. They're relentless. But however, their special guest is none other than Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels of SCU. Now, in recent months, they haven't been a cohesive unit, both Kazarian and Daniels. The reason that happened, if you go back to the time when the whole tag team tournament took place last year, we were all expecting to see Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels to be in a tag team match, be in the team, but however, Scorpio Sky stepped up the plate and all this and that. But in recent months, they haven't been a team. Not only that, their last week on Dynamite losing to the Acclaim brought a lot of bit of more talk, like they're not the same anymore. They felt like it's time for them to split. But however, Frankie Kazarian suggested, let's have one more match. And if they don't win this match, then SCU is done. And that could be the end of it. But I don't know what is the significance of the whole thing. I don't know if that's something that it's time for SCU. I mean, they had a good run. I'm not going to lie about that. I love when they first came out doing the whole SCU. And, I can't wait to go back to Southern California, all of that. That is one of the greatest things that happened. But we'll see what happens when we get to that match. Now, the next match is Jasmine Allure and Thunder Rosa. You can guess, yes, Thunder Rosa won. She's La Mera Mera. She's the most toughest woman we've seen. But however, the way the commentators put it out, she's like, she is not in a good mood after what happened last week on Dynamite, where Britt Baker and Rebel attacked her from while she was doing an interview. Ever since the rivalry between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa is now becoming more and more intense than ever. But of course, Thunder Rosa won this match. The next match, I have to say, it was a very interesting match. Is Lee Johnson of the Nightmare Family being accompanied by QT Marshall facing off against Dark Order, Stu Grayson, and alongside with Evil Uno. Now, it was a pretty good match. I have to say, I think in this particular match, Stu put over Lee Johnson, not because, it was the way you see it. Lee Johnson is one of those wrestlers that was prominent in the Nightmare Factory where he was trained under QT Marshall. I think it's time for him. I think they're trying to show him that, okay, look at this kid. He is athletic. He's good. And it was a really good match. But, of course, Stu actually won the match. But all of a sudden, he just gave him a fist bump. Now, I don't know if that was breaking kayfabe or just a storyline where it's like, why are you with the Nightmare Family? You can join us. That's the way I'm trying to understand that whole thing. Are they trying to still recruit more people? And not to mention, we still need to know, where the hell is Brody Lee? Now, the next match. This one was an interesting match. This one is a women's match, but there was a stipulation. This one was set up by Tony Khan. Whoever wins this match will have a chance to face Hikaru Shida. This one was between Alex Gracia, the Pink Dream, versus Kylan King. Now, as you know, Kylan King is officially with AEW, but she's has more experience being with AEW now since she's been mostly been appearing on Dark. But you have Alex Gracia, who has been in the wrestling game for almost maybe 2 years or so, from my understanding. And if you guys don't know this, she's actually dating Scorpio Sky. Yeah, so don't ask me. But anyway, I don't know what was the purpose of this, but to my surprise, they actually had Alex Gracia win this match. Now, you can say this, but if Kylan King's been there longer than Alex, why did they put her over? Why did they allow her to win? I don't know. Maybe they see something in her that many promotions like to do. This is one of those things that AEW do. You see, there's certain talent they say, okay, he's very interesting, and there were other wrestlers. Now, for if you guys don't know this, there were a lot of interviews with Alex Gracia from various podcast groups. 2020 hasn't been a good year for her due to the fact that she was once again recruited by being trying out for WWE, but the pandemic hit and she was sent home. If you guys know this, Alex Gracia was trained at the Reality of Wrestling, which is Booker T's school and his promotion. But yeah, so we're gonna see her face Hikaru Shida tomorrow at Dynamite, and this is gonna be an interesting one. Now, the next match we had this one of Peter Avalon's uh, things, pre Peter's provocational pageant, and he was facing off against a guy named Mike Verna. It was I wasn't too much sold on the match because I didn't know who Mike Verna is. This is his debut, but I can tell you guys it was Peter Avalon who won the match. But apparently he had a little nose problem over that he was bleeding. He has like, yeah. The next match we had Vert Vixen versus Red Velvet. Uh, Red Velvet won this match. It was a pretty good one indeed. But I'll explain something to you guys later once I'm done talking about this one. The next match we had a six-man tag team match. We had Fuego del Sol, Aaron Solo, and the debut of Ray Jazz versus Dark Order members Colt Boom Boom Cabana, of Allen Five Angels, and 10. Now, as you can see, much of this match, you can see that those three, Dark Order, Colt, 5 and 10, are sort of cohesive. But however, the combination, I don't is still out there. Don't ask me why, but yeah. But it was a really interesting match, as you know. But we'll see how that goes. The next match we have is Maddie Renskovic, can't pronounce it right, versus the legit Layla Hirsch. Pretty good match. Of course, I like her style, being a submission, but also do a little bit of the moonsault. But she won this match completely. Now, she's not officially signed with AEW, but she could be one of those wrestlers that we may see her be signed. And that's always Phoenix. Now, the next match we have a tag team. We have TNT, who are the sons of Devon Dudley, facing off against Gun Club, Colt and Austin, the brothers. Basically, this is a very interesting thing where we've seen two generational children. You got Devon's kids, you got Billy Gunn's kids facing off each other. It was a pretty good, interesting way to have them. Now, I gotta say, I feel like they made this one a really good one where, okay, we got both brothers from two different fathers, sets of brothers facing off against each other. I liked it. But however, the edge goes to the Gun Club, Colton Austin. I like it. Not the best match, but I like it. Then we have Danny Limelight versus Ray Phoenix. This was a very interesting match. Now, if you guys don't know this, a while back, before the pandemic, about a year ago or two, Danny Limelight said that Ray Phoenix is on his bucket list, and surprise, he's on his bucket list. So he actually faces on. It was a good match. I liked it. I felt like he finally got his bucket list in the mix. And not to mention, he has faced Penta before, but this one, I think it might have been a dream come true for him. But however, Rey Phoenix actually won this one. The next match we had Serpentico and of Chaos Project being accompanied by Luther facing off against Matt Sydal. Much of the match, you still hear the yabbering from Luther, but however, that did not stop Matt Sydal whatsoever, and he won the match as always by applying his submission move, and that put an end to Serpentico trying to try to put him down. So I'd say there were some really good matches on this one. I like everything, some of the things they put out. I know some of you guys are not fans of AEW Dark, but give it a shot once in a while when you see this. So I think that's it right now for me talking about AEW Dark. Oh, one more thing. Before I ended, there's something you guys should know. There were 4 women involved in this. Trying to see maybe Jasmine Allure, Vertex, and Maddie Rekoski. These women are part of the Mission Pro Wrestling along with Thunder Rosa. She's been involved with this. AW gave these women opportunities to compete in AW Dark, and Thunder Rosa was feeling grateful. It was on the news. It's kind of surprising now that I see Tony Khan is now opening the doors to these women in the independent scenes coming up. But I have to say, Tony Khan is a genius. He's giving chances to other people because, as you know, independent wrestling is still trying to pick up where it's left off. Some are trying to do some shows, but they're still dealing with restrictions and all that. So I think that's it for now. So let's move on to Impact Wrestling. Okay, now I did not know what to expect for Impact Wrestling, but however, I have to say they put on some great content here. There was no wrestling, but however, they put on certain things that took place throughout 2020. So they're calling it Best of 2020. So this is only part one, but they also were giving out who is Tag Team of the Year, X Division of the Year, Knockouts of the Year, Wrestler of the Year, that sort of thing. But also the storylines and certain things that took place. So I'm gonna go from start to finish how they went through this one. It started out with Hard to Kill of this year of 2020, where the X Division title was on the line between Trey Miguel and Ace Austin. It was a pretty good match because I like how the story was going, where Ace Austin, who's the X Division champion, he got under the skin of Trey Miguel, but however, Trey Miguel, throughout his tenure, he never got any gold whatsoever. I felt that Impact should have given them that opportunity, but they didn't. But Ace Austin retained the title. But however, speaking of X Division, Chris Bay, as you know what happened last week, he actually pinned um what's his name? Suicide, and this allowed him for a chance to maybe to regain the X Division champion. Now, as you know, months ago, Rohit Raju played Chris Bay and losing the title to him in one of the pay-per-views. I don't remember which one, and allowed him to be saying that he was held back, that instead he wanted to cut corners to ensure he gets that. But however, Chris Bay made it clear that in Genesis he will be in a no, was it Genesis? No, Hard to Kill. That he will be in a triple threat match for the X Division champion, where it's going to consist not only him but Manik and Rohit Raju. And but Rohit was not happy. He was demanding to talk to Scott D'Amore, but of course Scott D'Amore can't stand his whining. Now, speaking more of the X Division, it just announced who is in fact X Division of the Year, and it was Ace Austin. Now, his speech, he said, "I'm very honored, but however, I only hold that title for nearly 4 months." Yeah, maybe so. You may have hold it for 4 months, but however, don't excuse the fact that you put on a good show, being a heel in the X Division game, and that is something we can understand how they're doing. He did pursue it for the world title. He even pursued it for the tag team titles. That is something we could talk about. Now, however, They throw in the recap of what happened to one of the biggest pay-per-views ever, Slammiversary. With the surprise appearance of the Machine Guns, certain title exchanges. That was one of those surprising moments that took place in Slammiversary. That's something. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. But yeah, and then they throw in something back that took place at Turning Point. This one actually had for the Impact World Tag Team titles between the North, at the time who were champions, facing off against the Good Brothers. Was the turning point where the Good Brothers fulfilled what they wanted, is to obtain these titles that eluded them, and that's what they did. But however, speaking of tag teams, if they already also announced Tag Team of the Year, and Tag Team of the Year is none other than the longest reigning champions over a year now. We're talking about the North. Now, however, the North is in disarray at this point. Um, and Ethan Page has been losing it. He's losing his cool. He's losing whatever's going on in his head. And he talked to Josh Alexander, telling him we won. We won Tag Team of the Year. They again. So this is the second time they won it. But however, once they stopped talking over the phone, all of a sudden we see Karate Man again. I don't know. But if you guys wondering why is this storyline going important, if you know, it appears that Ethan Page will be gone from Impact Wrestling by the end of this year, so we may not see him again. It's still unclear where's he gonna go. Is WWE already looked at him, or is AEW interested? I don't know. We just gotta wait and see where they're gonna go with it. Where is he gonna go? We'll probably see that in social media somewhere. Now, as you know, the Knockouts division has been making headways in two fronts. One, the tag team division, which the tag team division that we haven't seen in a long time. You know that if you guys are fans of the Knockouts tag team division, you know that's one of the best divisions ever. They were the ones that were doing it more often, better than what WWE did when they brought this to the fan base. I know many fans have talked about this before. Women's tag team, you only see them in women's promotions that we see, like Stardom or Shimmer or Shine or Rise or any promotion that we seen. But however, they did it far more better. But bringing back the Knockouts tag team division is one of the biggest surprises ever, and I have to say it is, because they were doing it long before WWE did it, you know. And I feel now bringing it back. Because if you notice, Kara Hogan and Tasha Steelz have been pushing it for it, and I feel now because of their involvement as a team, it brought back this prestige titles that made a difference in the entire history of Impact when they were known as TNA as well. But speaking of knockouts, we even had a recap of the first ever knockouts 30-minute Iron Man match between Jordan Grace and um, what's her name, Deonna Purrazzo, for the Knockouts Championship. This was the match that took place right after Slammiversary, where Deonna Purrazzo beat Jordan Grace for the title and decided to go with this Iron Man match. It was a really good match. It was the first ever having a Knockouts Iron Man match. You can say that it's history in the making as much as you want. Now, speaking of the Knockouts, it appears that we may have a challenger for the Knockouts Championship, Taya Valkyrie. Now, as you know, Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie beat out Deonna Purrazzo and Kimber Lee in the Knockouts Tag Team Tournament, and because Deonna Purrazzo's biggest accomplishment she wanted is to be double champion. But however, she took offense that she lost to Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary, so she decided to do something about it, and costing Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie a chance to advance when they lost to Tasha Steelz and Kara Hogan. So basically, we're going to see them face off at Hard to Kill. But however, continuing more with the knockouts, it's been announced that we had Knockout of the Year, and Knockout of the Year is none other than the current Knockouts champion, Deonna Purrazzo. Next thing we have is the renewed rivalry between both Eddie Edwards and Sammy Callahan, who's now joining him, is Ken Shamrock. Now, this rivalry went back about a year or two ago where Sammy Callahan was playing these mind games to Eddie Edwards. It nearly cost him his career, his marriage, and all that. So basically, we're seeing a renewed fight. But it appears that Sammy Callahan wants to end it in the upcoming pay per view. So we're going to see where they're going to go with this. Um, as you know, Kara Hogan and Tasha Steelz, almost everybody put out some holiday cheers for everyone. Now, let's go back to Bound for Glory of 2020. This one was a very interesting match. This one was on the undisclosed location between EC3 and Moose. Now, this match was about how Moose has been running his mouth saying that he is the TNA World Champion, even though that title is inactive, but he doesn't see it that way. He feels that he beat. But EC3 has been trying to tell him, control your narrative. Like, he was trying to turn Moose to go to a darker place, to control his own destiny. But after beating EC3, he's been making um not threats, like telling the Impact World Champion that title is second best. And then he goes out saying that he feels that he's being disrespected, that no one's recognizing that the TNA World title is the most prestigious title, that it should be more respected, but nobody is because no one cares for that title. But of course, he entered his feud against Willie Mack and tried to send a message to Rich Swann as always. And now it appears that there's going to be an I Quit match between both Moose and um, Eddie King's Moose and Willie Mack. But however, because of this whole fiasco, one of the security guards got in the way and ripped off his shirt, and Moose beat him up silly. And he said that he has no business being there, but it turns out the security guard, he's a independent wrestler. He told him that he can't last 3 minutes. Now, he doesn't have to beat Moose. All he has to do is last 3 minutes as possible, and that's it. Now, if you guys don't know much about Impact of their history, they always had this thing where it's called the Super X Cup. This is like a tournament built for X Division wrestlers. The first ever match took place in 2003, and Chris Sabian was the first to win it. And they had been using wrestlers like similar to the cruiserweights, the junior heavyweights, the light heavyweights. So that's pretty much what happened. Now they did announce for the brackets, but also who is participating in the Super X Cup. So this is going to take place in Genesis. So this is who they have: Ace Austin, Suicide, Davari, Cousin Jake, Crazy Steve, Trey Lamar, Casey Navarro, and I mentioned him a bunch of times on GCW and Warrior Wrestling, and of course, New Japan Strong, Blake Christians. So this is one of those cases you guys got to pay attention. Now, if you guys are not fans of Impact Wrestling, watch it. You'll see what I'm talking about. And of course, if you all recall, not too long ago, Larry D ended up in jail for shooting Bravo, but AC Romero is convinced there is no way he would have done it. Now, he visited him in jail, but Larry D said, "Look, I cannot control what Lawrence is doing. I know, but there's no way it was him." So basically, here's the problem: the way that Larry D is saying, both AC Romero and Larry D were in ringside when the wedding happened. But the problem is, Johnny Bravo did brought up a compelling argument. He smelled the guy, and it was the perfume that Larry D used. But Larry D feels like, well, or should I say Lawrence, but so he's gonna run whatever they can find. So they have to play the blind game on this one. So I don't know how they're gonna play it. But the recap with the wedding and Who Shot Bravo was so interesting, because bad things happen at the weddings. That's what they always said. Now, as you know, the biggest surprise was what happened at Winter is Coming when the whole thing, Kenny Omega and all that. AEW pulled up another advertisement. They even put out saying that Tony Khan said, since Kenny Omega is going to make appearances at Impact, he's inviting Impact wrestlers to come down to AEW. Is this I feel like this is one of those things like, okay, something we wanted to see at during the Monday Night Wars. Now, if you recall, we have seen during the time of the Monday Night Wars, we saw the Generation X invade WCW, and of course, Triple H says, "What if they invade us?" Well, we left the door open, and they never did. So I think they're going with that story, like being, "You guys couldn't do that. We're gonna do it ourselves." So I think they're playing a good sense of direction on this one. Now, the entire Impact Wrestling has been dealing with the world class maniac. I'm talking about Eric Young, who came back in Slammiversary. He was unhappy that Rich Swann took him out of the elimination and tried to end his career, saying he did him a favor. That he would that, and then he goes out with this riddle saying the world doesn't belong to them, and saying that they're here to cure the disease, saying that everyone is a disease. And he attacked Rich Swann on a various occasion, and he has this big behemoth named Joe Dorian, who is a huge star in All Japan Pro Wrestling. So his appearance kind of made a good sparkling, wow, he's back, but he's nuts, saying that the world belongs to him and Dorian, whoever joins them. And recently they had Cody Deaner joining him, being brainwashed with this ideology that he puts out. Now, they even showed the Final Resolution recap. That was a pretty good pay per view. I did enjoy it a lot, and all of this and that. Now, I'm going to end it here where who actually won Wrestler of the Year. To my surprise, I didn't expect it, but the fans probably wanted it. The Wrestler of the Year is none other than, once again, who won the Knockout of the Year, Deonna Purrazzo. So basically, she is now saying that 2021 will be the age of the virtuosa. We'll see how that happens. You see, you may be the best technical wrestler, but don't count out those who could actually beat you in a way you probably can or can't. We'll see how that goes. So I think that's it for now. Throwing these wrestling shows that happens on Tuesday. I will throw in some more stuff coming up. But however, I'm going to throw in some news updates for you guys. Okay, guys, so here's some news updates coming out. Since I've already mentioned about Impact Wrestling, it's been revealed by many wrestling news outlets that Madison Rain will be leaving not only commentary, but leaving Impact Wrestling, but also putting behind, stopping, no longer wrestling. She's going to venture in another career. She is finishing up what she has left with Impact. As you guys know or don't know, her real life husband is none other than commentator Josh Matthews. Now, some of you can say when I mention that, is he going to go? No, I mean the guy has been one of the most interesting commentators down in Impact Wrestling. He was a wrestler before, but he's been mostly doing a lot of the commentary with Impact Wrestling. Can I say like 10 years or so? I don't know, but all we can do is say good luck to Madison Rain. I hope we get to see her or whatever she does. But if she decides to come back to wrestling, that'll be a good thing to watch. Now, since we know what's going on in Impact Wrestling with Kenny Omega, many fans have asked, okay, he's calling this whole Bullet Club reunion. Now, keep in mind for all you Bullet Club fans out there, Kenny is not allowed to use the name Bullet Club because A, New Japan owns the rights to the name. That is something that has been playing out because of the trademark name. I mean, look, um, they even WWE tried to buy the name, but they can't. Bullet Club is staying with New Japan. We've seen WWE calling their own clubs, like when AJ formed the club and the OCs with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and then when they united with Finn Balor, they call themselves Balor Club. I mean, you can replicate what Bullet Club did, but you can never capture the magic. Now, with Kenny teaming up with Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows for Hard to Kill in that 6-man tag team match, it's now been revealed what their name is. They're calling themselves Super Elite. Now, I don't know what you guys would think. I know probably you guys will say it sounds kind of cheesy, like a ripoff to the Elite. That may be true, but however, you need to look at it in another perspective. Something that brought to my attention. We know that the Elite the original Elite members was Kenny and the Bucks. But would it be like to see Kenny teaming up with another tag team that also brought more attention in the tag team division in any promotion in the world? Doesn't matter if it's an NWA or Impact or AAA or anywhere. I have to say that is something we should pay attention. Not because I say so, it's because it's what I see when I watch this stuff. You guys should do the same thing too. So I think that's it for now for all of you guys for this episode talking about NWA Shockwave with the amazing turn events of title exchanges, AEW Dark, Impact Wrestling with the best of 2020. Part 2 will be on next week. But however, upcoming episodes, I will have one episode where I'll cover all 3 days of the road to Tokyo Dome, which we're getting closer and closer to Wrestle Kingdom. And then another episode, I will do strictly Japanese wrestling promotions where they had 3 main events. We got one from Dragon Gate, which is Final Gate, Stardom once again with the road to Osaka Dream Cinderella, and of course another Yoshi promotion, Tokyo Pro Yoshi, called Well Merry Christmas. So all of that will be coming up soon. So stay tuned on that, and I also will do MLW, and if they do have NXT UK, whatever. But we'll see how that goes. Since we're getting close to the holidays. Oh yeah, and also we'll cover the ones that I wore, but I'll save that one to the 24th of this month, and I'll see you guys soon. But for now, I must bid all of you guys adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.